Hello and welcome everybody to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Encounter Joshua, and I'm here today to take you guys through some wild pirate shenanigans as we delve.
Oh no!
Did we lose him?
I think so.
Think so.
Doing
Oh
so
no.
well.
We were doing so good.
Tragic.
All right, so we're gonna take the boat. We're all the DM now.
Yeah, we're gonna take the boat. Nobody's gonna die.
We're the captain now.
Yes. You look at Tinker. Tinker's the captain now.
Yes.
Can I be the captain just because I want to be? I just think it'd be funny if I was a cat. And I
You're
was
a
just
captain.
I'm a cat.
Oh no.
I mean, I'm in charge.
Captain.
You're a cat on
The
a
way-
tin roof.
The way he's frozen right now is very funny.
I'm sure that's how he feels right now. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like why? How did this happen?
I mean, honestly, a cat being captain would be better than the current captain, so making
That's
improvements.
true. I
That's
agree.
true.
I mean the current captain's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool dude. I wouldn't sell him short.
Yeah, hot take, hot take.
Hot takes
Hello?
by Tinker.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, I am best
Welcome back.
opening ever you've ever seen. The smoothest, the slickest production you've ever laid your pretty little eyes on. Well, welcome. My name is Encounter Joshua, and we're having no technical issues today. Everything is just hunky-dory, and don't let any technical issues convince you otherwise. We are here today to play through some Ghost of Saltmarsh, The Red Lady, some pirate shenanigans on the high seas. We've got a great cast and crew with you today, but first of all, a little shout out to our sponsorinos who make all of this possible and make us look good. It's us that make us look bad with technical difficulties. For starters, the continuing sponsor for Encounter Roleplay is Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. You can try it today for free if you go to fantasygrounds.com, and you can see where we're doing all of our dice rolling today. We'll be up in chat. You'll be able to watch all of the stuff, so super duper fan dabby duper. On top of that, if you guys are looking to get yourself on some very attractive little minis, you can go to Wayland Games for an incredible selection of D&D minis and other minis from all over the realms of fantasy, sci-fi, and all that, and you can get them 20% off recommended retail price at waylandgames.co.uk. And finally, if you guys love dice, if you guys just love those, fondling those dice and rolling some D20s and D5s don't exist. Fucking, it's fine. D6s, every dice you can possibly imagine, then check out tabletoploot.com for an amazing collection and selection of some fantastic goody rollable things. But in the meantime, we're going to do a quick go round, meet the cast and crew. I'm going to get D5s are totally going to be available soon. I'm coining it. It's going to be a thing. They're going to be great. I don't know what they'll look like, but they'll probably be beautiful. We're going to go around. We're going to meet the cast and crew, and then we're going to do a little recap and dive back into the action, but hopefully not overboard what happening on the Red Lady. So in no particular order, I'm going to choose the player character who looks ready, the most ready, and since he's fucking around with his mic, I'm going to throw it over to Zippy, gaming.xp. How you doing, buddy?
Hi, I'm Zippy. I'm playing Tinker, the Warforged with no voice. He's also an artificer, but it's okay. He's a good boy. He's going to try to make sure everyone remains alive, even if the party doesn't want it.
Indeed. And that's in one corner, we have Zippy standing alone. And against Zippy is the entire rest of the party. What does that mean? You'll find out when we do the recap. Let's see how they are faring up. For starters, they start strong. They start bulky and intimidating and terrifying. The Triton Barbarian, Electra, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Mackenzie, and I play Electra, the Triton Barbarian of the Storm Herald.
Boom. Got some flexes, some strong flexes coming in your direction. And you know what? If you're going to have strong, you've also got to have quick, and there is no quicker than Kip. Would you care to introduce yourself, Crowan?
Oh, my name is Crowan. I'll be playing Quick Kip, the Halfling Rogue. That is I. Excited to roll some d5s, you know?
Just rolling d5s, that's what he does. He's so roguey, he'll convince you that d5s are a real thing. It's amazing. And last but certainly not least, the most valuable party member, in my opinion, for no ship is complete without a cat. Nice girl, would you like to introduce who you're playing?
Hello, my name is Lauren. I'm playing Flotsam. Flotsam is a cat.
Flotsam is a cat. It's very exciting. She's even got the cat ears today. We're rocking
I
it
got my ears today.
so hard. We're rocking it like we're rocking the boat. And speaking of rocking the boat, that's certainly what's happening at the moment aboard the Red Lady. A quick recap, this particular campaign is starting off in my homebrew world of Avara, which you guys can find out more about online and stuff, and it will be published in the future. But in the meantime, we're starting off in the ocean aboard a failing pirate ship called the Red Lady. The Red Lady is a schooner, not a particularly impressive warship or anything like that. It's fast, it's nimble, it's good at closing down enemy ships, launching boarding parties and all that kind of stuff, and raiding small ports. But it doesn't have any cannons or serious artillery or anything like that. Its only main viable weapon is its speed, deploying raiders onto beaches and docks, onto other ships, and a single armament of a ballista mounted on the prow of the ship. So pretty small, fast, opportunist kind of scavenger kind of ship. But things have not been going well aboard the Red Lady recently. Recently, the crew has been down on their luck, and though they've all got some coin to spend, the biggest problem has been that they have made themselves incredibly nefarious. There is a bounty upon them. They are wanted by the Golden Tide Company, a massive trade company that they have kind of pissed off in the past. They're wanted by Her Majesty's Royal Navy, which is bad news, as they have cannons and proper ships of war, and they are wanted by a lot of smaller ports where they've made no short list of enemies. However, the opportunity to escape and get away from the mainland and head out to the Isles of Stavros, where most successful pirates go to retire, is waylaid by the fact that their ship is not best suited for open ocean journeys. It's a flat-bottomed and originally sent for large rivers and coastal waters. And if you guys try and take it out in open water, you might find yourself in a spot of bother. However, on this most fortuitous of occasions, you guys are currently in possession of 2 ships, which is unusual and has only just happened in the closing minutes of the last episode, where you guys drew upon another ship. We didn't get to the ship's name, but the ship in question is a galleon, and its name, which is painted majestically down the side of the hull, is The Lady Doth Protest. It is a very large merchant vessel of some kind that was transporting goods and a few private passengers somewhere. But it is currently scuttled. There's some minor damage to the sails. They look like they've been burnt, but all of the people aboard the ship have died a mysterious death, save one elf who was found locked away in the ship's hull down in the brig. And conversations have arisen as you guys were all going through some of the spoils, some of the loot, finding out a few bits and pieces. You know, one is there aboard that we can claim for ourselves. Conversation arose between a few crewmates and First Mate Monroe, who is the captain's right-hand man. He's an elderly half-elf who has kind of grown a little tired of how the captain has been running things, so he gathered you together for an almost mutinous party, a little gathering in the dead of night to discuss what might be done to change your fortunes. And what might be done might be considered mutiny by many. So that is where we're going to pick up today. So we are aboard a ship, a galleon called the Lady Doth Protest. It's a very fine ship, not a warship. These kinds of ships usually rely on a military escort, a naval escort of some kind. And you guys are aboard, all of you, to a man, to a cat, all on board, chilling out. And it was set upon you by Monroe, last we heard, set specifically upon Electra and Quick Kip, although Tinker and Flotsam, I believe, both overheard, having the best passive perception in the party, both overheard that Monroe came to you, Electra, and Kip, and said, I think it would be best if we gather together some reliable crew, those who want something a little better for us, a better life. And when in the dead of night tonight, maybe even use the cover of, he gestures out towards the coast, and you can see a storm brewing over the mainland that threatens to push its way out this direction when the seas get choppier and everyone's bunkered down for the night. We do something to sabotage the Red Lady, kill her in the water, or at least slow her down, and then we take this ship out to open water, and, well, then we figure out what we figure out, but it gets us clear of the captain and gives us a chance to make something for ourselves, you know? Try and shake some of this bad luck. So, well, I guess you guys need to talk to some of the crew, see who would be on board, but do it carefully. Don't let any of this get back to the captain. And preferably don't let it get back to the quartermaster either. He's a nasty bastard, and I really don't want Dakar aboard for this journey.
Oh, yeah, of course, but it seems to me like it's going to be pretty hard for us to all be on that ship and then the ones that we don't like on the other ship. So I don't really know how I'm going to manage all that. Might have to, stab a few people, maybe throw them overboard, something like that.
As long as you stab the right people.
Yeah, I mean, you've been here longer. You probably know which ones are the ones to take, which ones are not.
I mean, it's a ship. We need competent sailors. I can speak to some of the sailors themselves, the deckhands and all that. I can gather some crew, but I recommend you talk to the surgeon, and I don't know if probably the lookouts would be a worthy shout, and see if you can snap the cook. I know he's a bit weird, being a lizard guy and everything, but, well, I can't cook to save my life, so it might be more comfortable if he was on side,
Yeah, having food's pretty good. Yeah, agreed. All right, I go talk to him. You talk to some of the sailors. See what I can do.
All right. Most of them are still over on the Red Lady. I'm gonna speak to people over here and see if I can start doing an inventory. See what we've actually got on the holds. How much money this ship's really worth,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here. Feel we can, if we get this safely ashore, can probably get a nice pretty penny for all of it.
All right. And he turns and looks at you, Electra, and just sort of strokes his chin for a moment and like, you up for this?
Yes. I believe so.
I mean, this isn't going to be like a straight fight, I know you like a tussle, but we can't exactly throw down against the whole crew, We'll lose too many men, and then, well, we don't have enough men to run the ship.
Maybe you can. And I kind of hit his shoulder a bit.
He actually staggers slightly. He's not a particularly big man at all. He's sort of, yeah. Sort of rubs it. He's getting on. He's already grey in the hair and stuff. He's a half.
I break a bone.
Yeah. Oh no! Just like that guy, his face I broke the other day. Oh no! You yeah, he sort of rubs his shoulder and yeah, well, just maybe talk to some of the fighting men, see what we can rustle up for, just in case it turns ugly.
Yeah.
So
I
Kip
can do
goes
that.
over. Kip goes over to Tinker, trying to like be quiet. So, hey, Tinker, you're pretty good with people like you, right? Maybe you can go talk to the surgeon, lookout, and the cook. Make sure they're on board this ship in the nighttime. Just make sure they're with us here, so we can skid out a little bit. Maybe leave some of the other people behind, maybe a little bit.
He signs yes. I do
All right.
this.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Tinker is going to like look overboard, and he's going to spot Anvil, and he's going to wave towards Anvil.
Anvil like drops everything that he's carrying to wave to you, like probably like a crate and like a load of like fishing like net and stuff like that. Just drops everything and enthusiastically double hand waves to you.
He then points towards this barrel, filled with what are those cannonballs that they use to break masts on ships? They're like chains. They're like two cannonballs chained together.
Oh,
and
you're
fire
talking
it in swings.
about not grape
Like
shot,
barred?
chain shot, but bolas rounds.
Yeah. He points to the barrel and he says, "You give me one."
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say
you
cool,
help.
cool, high or low, Zippy.
Hi.
95. You don't have any cannons on board the Red Lady, and this ship that you've taken doesn't have any cannons. However, that is not to say you haven't got loot. Cannonballs are expensive. I'll say that you've got some bolas around, and you've even got some grape shot, which is like it's like shotgun, like lead, like those tiny pellets that are used for like anti-personnel. You don't have anything to fire these things at the moment, but he goes over and he picks like them up and like just sort of like as he walks past, you see like he walks past two female crewmen and sort of like just flexing with the bowler rounds for a moment, and then he comes up and he'll tie them like round his neck like a bow tie and scramble up onto the galleon and comes over to you, brings them.
He points. He kind of like gestures. He sweeps his hand like towards the general area of the crew. They want to kill Captain. I don't want to kill. We knock out Monroe. I have, and he pulls out his makeshift cloak of the manta, and he gestures, throwing it over somebody's head, and then he picks up the chain ball and he mimes wrapping it around the ankles. And then he mimes pushing. You understand?
Suffocate him in cloak.
No.
Weigh him down.
No.
Oh! Put cloak on. Put him underwater. Hide him.
Water. Oh man, I can't remember the sign for breathing. Oh. But he's going to try to get across the idea that he's going to throw the cloak to allow him to breathe underwater and push him underwater.
Okay.
Wait, is this the captain or the
Monroe?
Or Monroe?
Yeah.
Oh, breathe. So.
He nods. Now? And he like hefts one of the bolo rounds and like looks over to where Monroe's like, so lads, like I think that we be having a talk, and like you see like behind him Anvil starts like over exaggerating, sneaking up behind him, wielding a bolo round like a club. No.
He says, night.
Okay.
Hey, can I have been here listening to this as a cat? Just
Roll me a
Well, you
perception
don't-
check.
I will do that. I will. If I know how to do that. How do I do that? I don't know how
Click
to do
on it and then drag it over and drop the dice in the dice roller.
It's not doing it for me.
So, like,
Oh, there we
grab
go.
a number
The
for
dice button.
perception.
I know how to use the
Okay.
internet.
Boom. Yeah, on a 21, yeah, I'd say you can't hear obviously Tinker talking, but you would be able to see him signing, and you've been around him long enough to kind of maybe not 100% get everything that is being put down. Maybe it's the angle, the low down angle that you're at. You don't get everything, but you do you hear pretty much everything that is said by Anvil, because Anvil isn't exactly the most subtle of individuals. He's
Okay.
big, sort of hulking, and currently dual wielding a pair of bolo rounds that you have no cannons to fire. He stands out.
Okay. Excellent.
He points to
That
Anvil.
was actually higher.
Anvil
That was like a
has
24.
big balls.
Yeah, it's big, but Anvil, what he'll do is he'll open up like a pocket that he has and like drop the bolos rounds in. You watch as the bolos round, just like the sheer weight of it just rips through the bottom sewing and slams onto the deck. And he like looks.
Oh,
the
he has
hole in
a
it,
he has a
just-
hollow chest. Like he
in which
opens
case,
it up and it's
he'll-
like a furnace, so you can just like put the thing in there.
In which case, he'll just be like, but it'll be like that cramming in where like things keep tumbling out. Like when you try and push everything into that cupboard that you just never want anyone to discover in your house, and there's just piled up, and you like always try and get the door closed before it cascades down. That's him right now, just like trying to shove these cannonballs into his gut, and then finally he just like after like 3 attempts of like slamming the hatch shut, he clicks it shut and just. And as he walks, there's a gentle clunk as it all settles, and he says, "Okay, later."
I watch Monroe. I sign when. You understand?
Yes, boss.
Okay. So Tinker's gonna just kind of like go up next to Monroe and he's gonna wave.
Immediately, like Anvil's like would gesture to you, like now, like is that the sign? No, is that the sign? No, okay, and he'll like later, and he'll clunk off downstairs to try and help with the offloading and stuff.
He looks at Anvil and he says, "Sign chicken." You
Okay.
understand?
Yes, and he makes his way down below deck. And
Okay.
I would say you come over just as sort of Electra and Quick Kip have finished their conversation with Monroe, and Monroe kind of looks around and Tinker, you be able to talk to some of the crew, yeah? And your brother, he's good at like lifting stuff and all that.
Yes.
He'd be able to help us out, bring some bring some stuff over to the ship?
Yes, he helped.
Fantastic. Right. Also, there's some things down in the hold that we're not entirely sure what they are. They look like machinery things. They have like machine parts, whatever. I don't really know what they are, but you mind taking a look at them when you get a chance?
Yes.
All right. Well, I best be off.
Wait.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I come with you.
Come. All right. Yeah. Sure.
I help you.
All right. Well, I was going to have a look through the officers' quarters and see what kind of what luxury items they might have. I'm sure the captain's eager to find out and add to his personal collections.
Tinker like nods and he pulls out a pistol and he cocks it and he just kind of rolls towards the way down to the officers' quarters and he kind of like is kind of over dramatically miming that he's like on a secret mission.
Fantastic. Like so he's just like, you watch as Monroe's like, yeah, we should probably check it out, and he like lazily draws like a scimitar, like rolls his shoulders a little bit in his age, showing his age, and then sort of like, all right, let's get on with it, very dejectedly. And in comparison, Tinker like commando rolls over and then like dun-dun-dun, like spy music playing, everything, and he comes over like, sure, whatever gets you out of bed in the morning, buddy. And we'll begin to sort of like pry open the cabin to see if anyone else has survived.
Can I interrupt Monroe before he does that?
Yeah, he looks down and
I'm
looks
just
around
she's
for a
gonna
moment and then
and then just gonna like walk a few steps to the hold and then and like try and get him to follow her.
I'm gonna roll an insight check for Monroe. Yeah, it's not bad. He's got a okay insight mod. He looks around and then says to one of the men like, "You here," and he hands him like essentially like a crowbar to try and pry the officer's quarters open, and he's like, "I'm going below deck to see what the cat's found. Might be something good. It's probably not, but well, if I don't go and claim it now, the cat will have it." And he
Just like rub against
he comes
his legs.
over like, "What's up, Flotsam? Somebody fell into the hole? Okay." And he like comes over with you and will follow you down.
Yeah. So she wants to find like maybe just go back into that corner where the elf was, like where they're very alone and it's dark.
You
All
take
right.
him like down. That's like not just down like one deck. That's like in
Yeah,
the bottom
this
of
is
the
like-
ship. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I want to get very.
And you can get back. You won't have too much privacy now because the hold is like there's just men all over the hold, load of deck hands who are like trying to pry open all the crates that you guys walk past and go through things. But if you go into the room and were to sort of like nudge the door closed, so it was just the two of you, that room only has sort of like a small peephole that looks into it, and there's no light in there.
Okay.
So he follows you down and sort of like looks around, sort of a little distractedly, sort of.
I'm going to-
his eyes.
Drop wild shape.
Okay. Describe what scares the shit out of Monroe.
So there's a little purple tiefling, with dark pink hair, one green eye and one blue eye, and has a necklace around her neck that's the same color blue, with a gem that's the same color blue as her blue eye, and she says, "Shh."
He turns around. I'm gonna see, like, he wasn't really paying attention. Does he notice? No. On a nat 1, he turns around and he's like, looks around for a moment, looks at you for a second, and then says, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Shh.
What? Are you looking for the cat as well?
No. I am the cat.
He walks over very, very close to you and... What in the fuck have you been drinking?
Look. I'll prove it to you in a second, but it's very important. You cannot trust the boy.
Okay, right.
Monroe.
What? Oh. Yeah?
Monroe, you cannot trust Tinker.
I can't trust Tinker. Gee, who in the fuck are you?
I'm
I don't recognise
Flotsam.
you at all. Flotsam's a cat.
Yes. Have you never seen... Oh, okay. Look, I will prove it to you after, but I only have one more of these today, so I can't prove it to you yet. But Tinker, he means well. But he doesn't understand why we have to get off the ship. And he's going to try to stop you.
Right. Roll me a persuasion check, because he's still trying to figure you out and is a bit confused by this entire situation. And you do sound like a complete lunatic right now. You see, like, the look of, like, he, like, almost like he's gonna fade into a grin for a moment, and then his face hardens a little, and those deep creases from years on the sea and poor living settle into his brow, and he...
You have a
You're
mole on
serious
your
about it, aren't you? Okay.
I'm the cat, okay?
You...
I know the things you whisper in your sleep.
Prove it. Prove you're a cat. What? Be a cat.
I'm serious, Tinker and Anvil, they're going to try and stop you.
I hear you, but...
Alright, if I go become a cat again, I'm not going to be able to become myself again for another day. So, are you done talking to me? Is there anything else you need to know?
I need to know how you're a cat. That's what I need to know. It's kind of a top priority for me at the moment.
Magic! She's gonna druidcraft, like a red rose in her hand and give it to him. Magic.
He looks for a moment and sort of frowns, and you see he pulls his head back and says, You know magic.
Do you remember about 3 months ago, there was that Saltmarsh, and there was a witch's hut, and it was empty, and you ransacked it.
Yeah, vaguely.
That was my home.
Hold on, you're a witch.
Yes, that's not the point here. I'm trying to save your life.
Alright, I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of this. So, like, you've just been the cat this whole time.
Well, yes. When raiders come, I hide in a basket. You took the basket. I discovered I was on a pirate ship, and I felt a lot safer as a cat.
But everyone loves the cat.
Exactly.
Oh, right. It's kind of creepy. Don't you sleep in the kid's lap? You're like a person. How old are you? This is all a bit. He reaches and he pulls out like a small, a rather small skin of probably something a lot harsher than wine. Uncorks it and sloshes it round, listening to it. And am I just drunk? Like I don't.
Look.
Okay. I get that you're trying to warn
I
me
sleep
about
on its
something.
chest, okay? First of all. Second of all. Tinker, he means well. He doesn't understand. He's going to try and stop you.
Okay, all right. I'll talk.
He
to
doesn't
him.
like killing. He thinks you're going to kill the captain.
Right. Okay. All right. Look, I'll talk to him. Okay. You really like. You really can be a cat. Because that's kind of useful.
She says, bring the boatswain with you. He's good. He hates Dakar. He has lots of friends. He'll know the good people to take. And then she's going to wild shape into a cat again.
Oh, fucking. He like leans down, like gets down on all fours and looks at you, and you hear someone from the other side of the door like bang on the door and just, Monroe, you okay in there? And he, yeah, I'm fine. And he gets down and like, will like try and like, he's like probably would get as close to your face as you'd allow him, just like looking at you very bizarrely.
Still has one green eye and one blue eye.
Oh shit. Look, just so we're clear, all right? Like the times that I've accidentally stepped on your tail because I didn't see you there or anything like that. Look, I didn't. Oh, this is awkward. I'm gonna just don't go telling anyone else, all right? The crew's superstitious. They don't like. I try not to do too much magic-y bullshit around them. The last thing we need is more. Well, no, it's not strictly true. It's not the last thing we need. Magic's fucking handy, but the last thing they need is more superstition to worry about, all right? So just play it down, okay? I'm talking to a fucking cat, and he just stands up, like, opens the door, and you see one of the men sort of pats him on the shoulder and then leans to look around the room, and then looks down and just sees a cat, and then
She's gonna like roll on her back and like do that cat thing.
he kind of shoots a strange glance towards Monroe as he leaves, as he's kind of heard voices, not necessarily what has been said, but has heard voices of like Monroe talking, and now looks and just lock himself in a room with a cat and talk. Did you hear that? One of the other men just like, cat's better conversation than you are. And they go back to cracking open this crate, and he will head off to go and find Tinker. In the meantime, what are Kip and Electra doing?
Kip wants to go with the people who are checking out like the captain's quarters, like officer's room of the ship.
Okay, you get to the door and you see there's 3 of them standing there. 2 of them have pistols drawn and are sort of pointing them at a stained glass window. But from your practiced eye, you can see there's like reinforced bars behind it, and it's not the sort of thing you could just like smash. Otherwise, they probably would have just put their fist through it and tried the door handle on the other side. It looks a little bit tougher than that. But you can see that one of the guys is basically he's got a crowbar in the door frame, and as they don't have any real skill in like picking locks or anything like that, they're more brute force kind of guys. He's just full on body leaning into the door, trying to ping it open with a crowbar.
Kip walks up and says,
Stop that. You'll screw up the door. Just let me do it.
He turns and like looks like he's gonna say something like aggressive, and the second he like steps away from the door, the crowbar, the tension releases and it pings off and slams into one of the other guy's hips, and there's a moment of sort of anger between the two of them, and then he squats down and looks at you and all right, prove your worth, go on.
Of course.
and Kip pulls out
he hands you a crowbar, expecting you to try and like he like looks at your size and is like,
he just looks at the crowbar, looks at him,
Says, you don't know anything, do you?
and then goes to like pulls out thieves' tools and tries to pick the lock.
give me a thieves' tool roll.
So natural one for
Okay, tell me like how good you feel up until the point where you feel something snap and you feel like a bounce on your thieves' tools and realize that possibly what you've done is one of the pins from the tumbler has snapped out of its housing and is now just resting on your thieves' tools. If you pull it out, it'll probably fall out of the lock itself. How does that make you feel, Kip?
Kip was pretty confident up until the point where he realized that he definitely screwed up. Kind of looks around. It's like, ah, shit.
The other, I'm gonna roll a perception check for the other guys because they're standing around, but there's activity. They haven't heard this and they haven't noticed this, so they see you sort of looking around, but they're mostly kind of like impatiently waiting by the door and glancing and talking about things that are being pulled up from below deck. And you've luckily haven't broken your thieves' tools, but you have kind of screwed this lock.
Can I walk up and do I see that he's like having trouble with it?
You can roll me a perception check as well. If you don't want her to see or notice, you can roll me a sleight of hand to try and like play it off and be like, nah, like I'm still.
Yeah,
Not
definitely
even
would
super
try to play it off.
That's a natural 20. You get to the door and like Kip is like the equivalent of like the monocle and everything like that, like ear pressed against the door, manipulate. You know what? On a natural 20, I'll let you try and force the lock if you want. It might break your thieves' tools, but I give you a second shot. As you nat 20, just sleight of hand.
He's going with everybody's checking the officers' quarters, right? Well, it wasn't Monroe was going that way too, so Tinker would be there.
He was going that way, and then Monroe got called downstairs by a cat. So
yeah, but Tinker rolled ahead, so Tinker would have just walked down. So.
Oh, like the door is still locked. Like the guys were trying to bust their way.
But what I'm trying to say is Tinker there.
Tinker's nearby, yeah.
Okay.
Probably, like there are three pretty tough-looking fellas because potentially there's someone still in there. They don't know. No one's explored it yet. So instead of like sending someone soft in there who might get a blunderbuss to the face or something unpleasant, they are sending in three big tough guys who don't know anything about picking locks. So far, all that's happened is they've tried to break the door open with a crowbar.
Tinker goes up and he taps Quick on the shoulder and he says, "I help." And he unscrews his index finger and then he pulls it back and the tip of his index finger pops out and it's a skeleton key, which is his thieves' tools, and he hands it to Kip.
All right. Yeah, this should probably make it a bit easier. Yeah, thanks.
And Kip will kind of grab it and try to use that as well to make a second attempt.
Okay, I'll let you add advantage. It is a much higher DC this time as it's a cracked lock.
All right.
Let's see.
So first
Not
one,
bad.
18 total. 14 plus 6, so a 20.
you have it in the lock and you are twisting it as carefully as you can, and like you can't tell. This skeleton key is unfamiliar. It's not quite the same as your thieves' tools, and you almost swear that you can feel it kind of bending slightly, and you're like, not sure if you're breaking it, and then you finally just feel a sudden give, and your whole wrist turns, and you hear a snap. And there's that kind of like tense moment, but as you rotate it back to the position where you can slide it out, it comes out, and the skeleton tool key looks okay. You look and you glance down the crack of the door frame, and you can't see a bolt locking it anymore. It looks like you've managed to just roll exactly what you needed.
Ooh, all right. Thanks, Tinker. There you go.
Hands back the key to him.
The little spider legs pop out the end of the finger where it attaches to the knuckle, and it climbs up Tinker's hand and then rescrews itself back into his hand.
That's fucking weird, but yeah.
He's presenting like a robot right now, right? He didn't go back to human.
No, he's still
Because I was like, that'd be so weird. It was just like Eddie Redmayne with one finger.
Yeah. You, Electra, you come over as you see like them manage to crack this open, and the door swings open, leaving. I suppose actually no one's opened the door yet, so it's up to you guys.
Yeah, Kip kind of takes a few steps back.
This is all right. It's open now. Don't need that crowbar anymore. Just go in. I'll be right behind.
You see the three fellas who are primarily just muscle and raiders and occasionally lift heavy stuff on board, but they're not the most elegant of individuals and not the friendliest of individuals. And they go over and they'll open the door and glance into a darkened short corridor that leads out into like the captain's quarters, a big sweeping office with probably some rooms coming off it. And they'll carefully as they can start walking in, two of them with loaded pistols and the guy up front holding what looks to be just a mace over his shoulder, like baseball bat style, ready to swing at someone. Is anyone else going in with them?
I'll go in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you
Kip will
taking
follow
point?
in
Or are you...
after.
Oh yeah, I like taking point. I'll
So, like-
pull my trident out.
You can like draw up beside this guy who's at front, sort of like, so it's basically like baseball bat, and trident with a trident like side by side, advancing in. Are you doing this subtly, or are you just marching in ready for whatever?
I'll match the mood. Are they just walking in?
They're not the subtlest of individuals. I'm gonna roll a stealth check, but they are not very stealthy.
I can try to be stealthy with them, I guess. Oh, what's up?
You advance in, and one of them is like turns to you and says like shh, and as he says that, you sort of turn. Your trident just catches the edge of a lantern, and a tiny small pane of glass just falls out of the lantern above you and smashes onto the ground. And on that, does a natural 20 hit
For
your
what?
AC?
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to wow, nat 20. That's unpleasant. It was going to be an advantage, but it doesn't need advantage.
Glass
Okay.
hit me with a nat 20.
Oh no. You just made you made a noise, and yeah, it's just like attack of the lantern, and it just
I know, I
descends
was like,
upon you.
Whoa.
This could be potentially rather unpleasant. This thing.
I have the
find it
highest
now.
HP probably in the party, which helps.
Yeah, like of anyone to get nat 20, it's probably best to be you. Okay, let me just check the thing on this. Oh, come on. Play the game. So from where you are, who else walked in? Quick Kip walked in. You're sort of like
Yeah.
hanging in the back, aren't you?
Yeah, probably a good like 10-ish feet like behind everybody.
Okay. You will all hear something which will be a familiar sound to you. It is the sound of a black powder weapon detonating with some force, and you are going to take... Oh, this is going to be unpleasant.
Flippy.
You take 12 piercing damage as there is a loud bang from behind a prominent-looking desk that is set sort of like maybe 10 feet away from you in the main room itself where this corridor emerges into. And you see like a huge flash and smoke, but you don't really see who fired, as it seemed to almost come as if it was laid on the desk and just went off. Yeah, 12 piercing damage. How's Electra feeling right now?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Like hits and she's like, okay, what? My max is 42, so.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So like this like it grazes you pretty deep. It's but it's probably like a through and through kind of shot. The guy next to you probably just reflexively throws himself against the wall and will probably just hold the mace up between him and the attacker like it was a shield. Like that tiny like flimsy haft of it could like deflect a bullet. And everyone else sort of like presses themselves like into some cover. And I'm going to say, as the person who was shot, I'll give you a reaction. You don't really see where it well, you kind of know the general direction, but you don't see your attacker. What do?
I'll stomp in that. I look at everybody, and then sort of start walking in that direction.
And Tinker's like, he puts his hands up. He's like, we can't see. And he pulls out what looks to be like a little metal dragon's head, and he rolls it into the room. And the dragon's head kind of grows a little bit, and then gets like these little spider legs that kind of come out and then lift it aloft, and he's going to roll a flamethrower arcane turret into the room. And,
okay. Important question. How tall is an arcane turret?
The arcane turret is medium. Yeah, it's medium is what it says. It has AC 18 and number hit points equal to 5 times your artificer's level. It's immune to poison damage, psychic damage, and all conditions. It's if it's forced to make an ability check or a saving throw, treat all scores as 10. And what else? What other pertinent information do you think you need?
That's just it. And like, does it? I presume it just relies on like line of sight for attacks.
So a flamethrower turret excels a fire in an adjacent 15-foot cone that you designate. Each creature in that area must make a dexterity check. So it doesn't really need line of sight because it's a cone weapon.
Okay, no problem. You roll it into the room. It will deploy, but it will take a moment. And Electra, you're still on deck. You're still advancing into the room to find out who just shot you or attempted to shoot you. You're just like, so what's that about?
Yeah, like want to step up, bro? Want to step up?
Yeah, you want to step to this? You come into the room and. As you change the angle, you'll see that it's a large office. It's decadent. You see chests. You see things that are open. You see like cloth pouring out of stuff, fine clothes and stuff like that. But as you step to the desk, you can see a large feather coming out from behind the desk. Not a quill set like for a writing implement. It appears to be beset on a hat that is hovering just behind the desk. It's quite wide brimmed, so it's covering whoever is behind there, and you can see a shaking hand pointing a pistol at the ceiling as they desperately try to reload their firearm.
If their hand's up, I want to like trident through the hand, but like
Are you trying to like stab or like just pin there?
I'll be. I want to stab.
You're a
but I
pirate,
don't
like,
think that...
like you're a pirate. Like it's up to you.
Yeah,
the only law
stab.
is pretty much. Yeah, I want to stab him. Like, so you guys will see. From your perspective, you kind of everyone in the corridor has tunnel vision, but the rear wall that you're all sort of advancing towards, that the desk is in front, is all stained glass and all lit up because it is the back of the ship. It's it's got a huge display, and there's like a fine art piece of ships like on the sea, on the ocean, sea monsters, pirates, battles, and everything like that. And silhouetted against that, Electra comes round, holds the trident up, and you'll see her sort of basically lunge at something behind the desk. Roll me an attack. 15's enough.
Hey.
Not good idea to wear armor on a ship. If you fall overboard, you'll probably drown in armor. So this individual, very lightly armored, and you can roll me some damage as you have. Oof. Describe a rather wounding blow to an individual who is revealed to be, you think, human, possibly, although he has very sort of dark brown skin that he might even have like a slight half-orc-nish to him, you're not sure, but in that flash of an instant you sort of pin him to the desk by his arm, by the same hand that was trying to reload, and he sort of like lets out a cry of pain, and you can roll me an intimidation on that.
Intimidation?
Yeah. See if he's gonna commit to this defense of his office or decide to rout at this point. Okay, he's going to go and reach for his belt, and at that point, everyone can roll me an initiative. This might be the first combat we see. Let's see this. Oh, I need to note down. Where are we?
Should I roll initiative even though I'm not there?
Yes. We'll say
Okay.
just in case.
Okay.
So we have Electra.
Oh, that should have been a 10.
What have we got? Anyone over 20?
Yes, I did. 21.
Oh, damn. GG. Okay. 15 to 20.
15 to 20, that would be Electra.
Really?
And Quick. It's the gray
15
number.
and
No,
12.
Yeah, it's the gray number. So
I'm sorry.
It's 12.
Quick,
Yeah.
Quick's 15 to 20.
It
No.
did a +8 for me for some reason, but it should have been +4, so I think it should be 9.
Okay, all right. So a 9 for Kip. The cat got a 8.
That's a 10.
A
The
10.
thing didn't work, but
It's all good. Electra is on a 12, and I'm going to roll for. Let's see. Not great. Not great. So there we go, and starting off, this round is Tinker. Tinker, what you see in front of you is Electra has basically like like bent a guy backwards over a table, and the top half of him is sort of visible as Electra has him pinned down. She's sort of like much larger than this rather diminutive kind of individual, and has him pinned by the arm as one of the spikes from her trident has gone through his forearm and pinned it to the desk. That is all you see.
Does he seem like he's a threat?
You can roll me an insight check.
Okay. Let's see. Insight. We'll take this and we'll throw this out there. Was it nat 20? Tell me.
On a nat 20, I'll give you. You can't tell how well armed he is, but you know he has a firearm. You'd also know that he probably hasn't had time to reload that firearm, and he looks like he's still struggling with Electra.
He's going to expend a level 2 spell slot to summon a arcane turret that will replace the flamethrower one. So he'll pull out what looks to be a kind of like a statue with a sword and shield, and he's going to roll that into the room, and that's going to gain the crab legs, and it's going to be a defender turret that says the turret emits a burst of positive energy that grants itself and each creature of your choice within 10 feet of it a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d8 your intelligence modifier to a minimum of +1. Let's see.
Within 10 feet, you can get the guy with the mace who was standing beside Electra, who came in, and Electra.
Okay, we're going to move up to where I can throw it within 10 feet. Be within 10 feet.
Oh, yeah. So you want to get it as well?
Well, the idea is I'm rolling the defender in, and I'm granting everyone the bonus. Because he's not a threat. He hasn't reloaded. The guy is literally not a threat. It would be better to try to keep him alive.
You can wait to activate it. I'll say, like, you prepare to throw it in and wait to activate it until Kip has moved on up, and the other two guys with you move up as well.
I'll just activate it now. I'll just move up, and I will just get Electra and the guy that's pinned, because they're right next to each other. And I'll just roll a d8 right now.
Okay.
I gotta remember which one's the d8. Is it the one that's a diamond?
Yes.
Okay. So that is 6 + 4, so they both get 10 temporary hit points.
Temporary hit points. So not healing, but like reinforcement.
Yes, yeah. So, and then he's going to go around like signing stop.
You can make me a persuasion check if you want. It's up to Electra whether or not she heeds this, but
I don't know. It said it was a 15, but I guess I didn't get it into the thing. Hold on. Let me try that again. All right, so 13. Oh, that's a perception. What's okay, I have no idea what's going on, so hold on. I rolled a perception. Okay, 9. Right.
Persuasion of a 9. He seems pretty preoccupied by Electra and doesn't seem to be paying you much mind. That's it for your turn, or is there anything on a bonus action or anything?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, and to clarify, you gave temporary hit points to the guy she's fighting?
Yes.
Okay. Taking it to Electra. You are up next. Wow, on a 12. We got some great rolls for initiative.
Right? So I'm going to keep one hand on the trident holding him down, but I'm going to try to just take the gun out of his hand.
Roll me an athletics check.
What check?
An athletics check to try and wrestle this out of his hand.
Nat 20.
Okay. You can absolutely sort of like just sort of wrench, while still holding him down, you wrench this gun clear from his hand. Anything else on your turn? I'm gonna say that's probably your action to sort of like get it clear of him.
I'm only asking because it's a nat 20. Can I kind of do the cartoon thing and like bend it to where like the what do you call that? Bend
the barrel, like
like kind of.
Give me just a straight strength. Just a straight strength.
She's about to go Hagrid on this shit.
Yeah, this is you like wrench it free, and as you do, you just slam it down, and like the slightly flared end, almost like trumpeted end to the barrel, sort of like hits the desk, like digs in, and then sort of splits like a banana opening up. Like plumes open, and as you do so, you hit it down with such force that the hammer pings off, and like the whole thing seems to kind of break slightly, and you can just toss it aside or wield it like a club that you're about to beat him with. Like,
yeah, I'll toss it like trash.
Nope.
Yeah, and I mean, that was definitely my action. But if I like glance at him, does he have any other weapons that I can see on him?
What's your passive perception?
Oh, low as hell. I don't even know. It's like 10 exactly.
Okay, and what's your wisdom?
It's 10, flat 10.
Oh, 10
So,
flat. Okay.
Plus 0, yeah. I'm my intelligence is 9. I don't know. I'm not a very smart person.
Good. You don't see any.
Okay. Then I'll hold position though. Still pinning his arm down.
Okay. Which case, what's your AC?
AC is a 16.
So you watch as his other hand that isn't pinned, possibly broken, impaled and bruised, and sort of slightly burnt from the shot. His other hand reaches into what looks to be like, now you're starting to get a picture of this guy, maybe like an officer's kind of jacket, like a long flowing coat, reaches inside, draws a knife that glints shinily like a bejeweled kind of thing, and tries to drive it up into your ribs, and you manage to just sort of like knock it clear, almost like with your elbow, just bat it to one side. He's gonna try again and make another. The man is consistent. He does it again, and like you just sort of knock it free, and like he almost loses the dagger. Like it probably falls onto the desk, and he scrambles to grab it up again. And that is everything he can do on his turn.
As a free action, can I say to him after he misses me twice, is this why your crew died? Just to like make him, I don't know, maybe feel inadequate.
Just roll me a straight charisma.
Oh, I'm not good at that.
I know it's not your strong suit, but
yeah, I'm so bad at charisma.
You like grin at him and like, is this why your crew died? And he just sort of like, he looks mildly hurt for a moment, and then like you see a determination in his eyes of anger.
Does he still have his dagger?
He's just about managed to hold on to it, yeah.
Okay.
But he's not in a particularly great shape. However, feeling a little bit buffed after a defensive turret just pepped him up a little. In the down below in the cargo hold, the cat, you will hear this bang from above deck, and you see commotion as people look around. It's not uncommon for people to occasionally get a little excited and shoot and stuff like that, but there's always that thing of maybe one of my mates just got shot by someone over like a gambling debt or something like that. So quite a few people take an interest and start heading up above onto the deck.
Yeah.
What's the cat doing?
She'll run up She has a speed of 40 feet, so she'll.
Okay, well, with 40 feet and Cat being good at climbing, I'm going to say you make it from the hold all the way up to the deck, and you get close enough that you can see down the corridor and see that there's a commotion going on inside, but there's quite a few bodies in the corridor at the moment, sort of clogging it up, so you can't necessarily see what's happening this turn.
All right. Was that just my movement, or could I take my dash action and go further?
That would probably be with your dash action to jump up and weave your way through like a crew who is kind of going upstairs to make sure who's been shot and can I have their stuff. Next up is Kip. Kip, you hear the gunshot. You have not hit. There are plenty of tall people in front of you. One of them probably took a bullet for you, and that's what they're there for. And now there's a commotion going on inside and a scuffle.
From what Kip can see, there's only one enemy, correct? Or I guess Kip looks around.
Yeah, you can
try to see if there's any others.
What's your passive?
13.
On a 13, given your size and the fact that you can move through sort of like other people, I'm going to say you can see that there is a fight going on inside between Electra and someone. Looks like they're sort of rick-and-rolling around on the desk.
Yeah, if there's only one, Kip will trust that Electra has basically got this under control, and we'll look to see what's valuable in the room. Kind of like step forward and try to look and see what's there.
You move forward about 15 feet to get into the room, sort of like down the corridor, past everyone. You look around. There are 2 doors that lead out of this room into smaller rooms, which is probably like, you don't see a bed in here, so maybe like a sleeping quarters, and maybe like a private room or like another sleeping quarters, you're not entirely sure. The glass, and there's plenty of sort of like glass baubles and garish looking trinkets, a couple of chests, 2 of which are open, 2 of which are not. The ones that are open look like they've got clothes in, like someone was packing or unpacking in a hurry. So there's like cloth strewn out and maybe like a carpet or something like that. And then you look around and you see that coins have been knocked onto the, as well as some paperwork onto the floor during this scuffle. And there's what looks to be a wardrobe closet, kind of big cabinet set into one corner of the room.
Okay, Kip will try to go into one of the other rooms, the smaller ones.
Okay, left or right?
Right.
Okay, you go over, try the door, it's not locked, you open it up, and first thing that you see is a bed, 4-poster, but quite small to be crammed into this room. It looks wonky, like it's never quite fit in this room properly, or has kind of not been the best of jobs done to it. And you see around in the room plenty of finery, sort of like silk bed sheets, another closet, a bedside cabinet, and a steamer chest to sort of set at the foot of the bed.
Oh yeah, Kip will go for the chest.
Okay, you get over to it. It is locked. You do see it's well made. This is even the chest itself is probably worth a little bit. It's got like gold inlay and velvet on it. It's red and gold and very decorative. I'm going to say you can start getting to work on and picking that, but that'll probably it'll be on your next turn you unlock it.
Yeah. It's like one of those things where if Kip hears anything escalate out there, he'd probably go to help, but for now it seems like they have it under control, so
okay,
we'll commit to this.
Taking it to the other guys who are going to rush in and try and help Electra as they rolled a 4 on their initiative. So the guy with the mace, as you've got this guy pinned down, is going to he's gonna go for a swing with the mace, and clocks this guy, like basically with just like a big stick with some metal studs set into it. He clocks this this finely dressed gentleman that you're trying to like pin down straight on the top of his head, and doesn't seem to do much. Like it's a glancing blow. One of the other guys will come into the room and like try and actually help you pin this guy down. So like get the knife out of his hand. So that'll be not bad. He manages to sort of like grab his other arm and like put his full weight of his forearm across this guy's wrist, and now he's like pinned here. His arm is out in an arm bar, and he's sort of you feel his like feet like kick you in the shin and like squirm around. But at that point, he realizes that he's pinned by two people, outnumbered by God knows how many people. The knife drops from his hand, and he stops squirming quite so much as you. He is your prisoner, Electra.
Are we out of initiative now?
I am going to give it over to Tinker real quick because I know you were doing things. So, like, as you see this, like, it'll take like I'm gonna say it takes a turn to like subdue him fully and like make sure that he's not going to try anything. That one of the men will start like reaching for his belt and check to see if he has any more surprises tucked away or weapons.
Tinker's gonna go like walk up, and he is going to pull a silver mirror out of his trench coat that he has, and he's going to cast Sanctuary on the guy that's being subdued. So you ward a creature within range against attack. Until the spell ends, any creature who targets the warded creature with an attack or harmful spell must first make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature must choose a new target or lose the attack or spell. This spell doesn't protect the warded creature from area effects such as the explosion of a fireball. If the warded creature makes an attack or casts a spell that affects an enemy creature, this spell ends. So
okay,
he's going to ward him from his comrades trying to take pot shots at him. And Tinker like goes up, and he goes and he kind of smacks the two guys who are on him upside the head, and he's going to just firmly say stop. And he looks over at Electra and he says stop.
Electra just stays unmoving, holding onto her trident.
The guy, now you're in his field of view, glances over to you, and you see his eyes go wide, trying to figure out what in the hell you are. And whilst like people on board your ship might be familiar with sign, not everyone else in the world around like would be used to it. So this guy doesn't seem to understand, but it's a simple enough gesture that he starts to hyperventilate a little bit, and he says, no, wait, you don't need to do that. And he looks at you, Tinker, like imploringly, and says, you don't need to do that. I'm valuable. I have information.
No. You're not enemy.
What? He looks around like...
Electra like pulls his face, and she says, he told us to stop. And then she's she leaves the trident and the table, and then does the motion again. Stop.
Like his arm doesn't move because like just the weight, the size, like it's like buried itself into the wood. So like he's actually
let go. Yeah.
Like, even if you let go, like his arm isn't going anywhere, but the rest of him slides slightly down, almost like he's just sort of like exhausted, and just breathes out a sigh of relief. Now you've got a chance to appraise this guy. He's wearing like a naval officer style coat, but he's not wearing the Navy's colors. This guy doesn't look to be in, like, no one on the ship was wearing naval attire or anything like that. They were well dressed. Some of them were quite well armed. In fact, it's probably maybe not worth in the hold, but certainly to arm a ship, a pirate ship, most of your crew will probably be swapping out like used weapons that they've been using for a while that have lost their edge, that kind of just, got a little bit rusted maybe or something like that, with the much finer armaments that are displayed by the crew here on board. But this guy, like, he has like a long necklace full of jewels, individual sort of like almost like individual amulets in rings that hang around his neck, and each one of them is set with a different kind of colored gem. It looks like it's made of maybe not solid gold, but certainly gold plated. And he slumps slightly, and you hear like the clack of a heavily festooned with rings hand just slump in defeat, and possibly, at the moment of, oh, thank God, they're not actually going to execute me. But he has that kind of tremor that you can still detect. Like if you hold your weapon, like you'll feel like the vibrations of his terror running down his arm as he looks up at all of you. At this point, the cat arrives, and everything is fine and relaxed now because the cat is here, and everyone can be calm. And this is what you see into the room.
Tinker looks to one of the goons, and he's like, points to him, "You. Fine doctor."
He looks at you for a moment, and then he actually takes his glance off you and off the man and looks to like your defense turret, and then looks to you and looks to his friend, and finally just, oh, for fuck's sake, storms out the room, like shoving past a few people, almost like he will at least step out of the way of the cat, like not kick the cat as he walks past. But he marches out to go and find the ship's surgeon.
Tinker goes over to the Triton, and he looks at Electra, and he kind of grabs hold of the haft, and he kind of like yanks it upwards, so it's like, get it out. He's trying to say,
roll me an athletics check.
No, he's looking at Electra like, hey, get this out of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You're not actually grabbing it, trying to pull it free.
Yeah, he's grabbing it, and he's gesturing like, hey, I want this out. So he's like,
in which case the guy lets out a scream of pain, because the second you shift it like a tiny amount, but it's enough to basically like grind it into the wound ever so slightly, and you sort of like immediately let go, like even a little bit, like it's full muscle in his arm. It's very painful.
Do you want me to?
now.
I yank it, and I point at my arm and I say, "We're even now," as he's probably screaming.
He kind of lets out that kind of shout that you hear his voice crack slightly in pain, and he's like bulging wide eyes for an instant, clutches his arm and slumps onto the floor. And there's like, the reason like you guys didn't see him is because the desk has got a back to it, so there's like a foot space down there that's probably small enough for a medium creature to kind of cower in, and he kind of slumps and involuntarily rolls backwards into it and is curled up under the desk, just clutching his arm, whimpering in pain.
I'm gonna jump up onto the desk. What do I see?
We will tell you in just a moment, but I'm going to need Kip to roll me a Thieves' Tools as you are trying to crack into the captain's chest.
Sure.
As opposed to other people who are just trying to crack into his arm and, oh, damn.
A lot of 20s tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
On a nat 20, as it is a nat 20, I will tell you that just as you go to unlock it, you hear something click. And I'm going to need you to make a dex save, but I'm going to give it to you at advantage because you rolled incredibly well.
All right. Another.
Oh my
20?
goodness gracious me! I'm going to say you like as it clicks. So essentially, as it clicks, you realize that there are tiny spikes or tiny holes, 6 of them that are around the lock that look like they're rivets that hold the lock face in place. But just at the last second, you realize that one of them is hollow, and you pull your hand back, and 6 half a foot long, like almost needle thin spikes lash out directly where you were holding your hand for the key, and you like manage to pull your hand back. Your thieves' tools are still inside, and you sort of look around, and that's 2 nat 20s in a row. I'll give it to you. You look and you realize that there is actually the lock itself, the face of the lock itself, looks like it rotates slightly on the edge. And as you reach around the spikes and twist it, they withdraw in, and you hear a click, and then you can twist your thieves' tools in it, and you hear it click open. And as you've rotated the face of it, it seems to set it into a position where the trap is no longer armed, and there's a pop, and the chest opens for you.
All right, Kip, impressed with his work, kind of grins to himself and looks inside.
You look inside, and you will find small pouches of divvied up coin purses in the far left-hand side. It's a long, thin chest. You find what looks to be a selection of robes, fine clothing and stuff like that, but they look like more like cloaks that bear symbols. And on the far right, you see there's a partition, and set into it are scroll tubes, usually used for holding arcane spells in like scroll form, for maps, for important contracts and paperwork. They are gilded expensive, and they look like the kind of ones that might even be watertight. There's not a lot of the gold, like you can start divvying it up and look through and you figure out how much is there, but it's not quite as, that if you want to sell something, whatever's in the scroll cases are probably to a specialized buyer is probably worth the most out of everything in here.
Okay, so there was a symbol in here as well on some of the stuff?
Yeah, you can only kind of make it out because it's half folded over, but if you want to pull out one of the cloaks and look at it.
Well, first, Kip will just quickly pocket one of the coin purses, and if there's multiple scroll tubes?
There are multiple. They're stacked in there. Looks like there's maybe 9 in a neat little stack of 3 by 3 by 3.
Okay. Kip will pocket one of each, one of the coins and one of the scroll tubes.
Okay. You pick it up. It's probably something that you'd have to feed down your pants leg or something like that to hide. So roll me a sleight of hand. But the coin purse, you can just straight up have it is.
Okay,
it's the size of it. Hiding this upon your person would be very difficult. You could try and smuggle it out under a cloak or something like that, but it's maybe a 2-foot long scroll tube, and you are how tall?
3'2", I believe. Yeah, 3'2".
Yeah, so this is almost this is not even a foot shorter than you are. Hiding it upon your person is just going to be very difficult.
Okay, if it's pretty apparent that it's obvious, then Kip will abandon it. But I'm not sure. I imagine it'd be pretty obvious. It's pretty.
Yeah,
visible.
it is pretty. You're aware. You just it's more the fact you just can't find a way to fit it upon you without it just holding it close to you.
Kip's all right. He'll just drop it and then pocketing one of the coin purses. Though, kind of walk back out of the room.
As you glance inside, you see a silvery flash of from your coin purse, and you can take a moment and do a double take. It's not silver. You have 10 platinum pieces. There looks to be 5 of these coin purses. 10 platinum pieces is worth 100 gold pieces. These are sizable coin purses.
Cool. Okay. Kip will pocket this, smile to himself, and then walk out of the room to the larger kind of captain's quarters everyone else is in.
Okay. In the meantime, roll me an investigation, Cat, as you are doing some investigating of some of the documents.
She like does everything, kind of in cat mannerism. So she's like pawing around, kind of like scratching at the paper, but actually looking for it. That's a regular 20.
Okay, what languages do you speak?
I speak. Where is that on this sheet? I speak Common, Druidic, Infernal, and Sylvan.
In which case, you recognize the writing. So it is written in Sylvan. It is not as uncommon as one might think. Sylvan is essentially, it's almost, in certain parts of the world, it's regarded as Latin. Like it's a dead language for like most of the civilized world. But a lot of people like it, especially very rich and affluential people. They like to use it because it's that connection to like, it's mostly high elves. Have it sort of like their very fancy way. And they will sometimes write in it specifically just to show off. They talk in it. It's kind of the high society understood means of communication. And you look down, you glance through it. It appears to be the first thing you find is like an excerpt from some kind of letter that looks like it has been drafted. It's not finished. And it documents that there has been some trouble on board with one of the passengers, that they're unsure as to whether or not it's writing, but it looks like it's probably a letter to a friend or a loved one or something, as opposed to like a professional report. And he waxes on about being unsure whether or not he was too hasty in taking this particular concession, whatever that means. You see another thing that finishes sort of, you see like the scratchy sudden interruption where possibly when the ship, whatever calamity befell it, interrupted his writings. But you look for a couple of other things. You see a list of supplies. You see a chart for like charting the stars and where they were heading. The final heading is actually this ship was bound for the Isles of Stavros, but it's not a pirate vessel. There are a few civilized ports still held by the Royal Navy out there. They are very much in the minority, but they do get resupplied every once in a while. And you see, you got a 20. You do find something that isn't noted on any of the paperwork, but you find a seal of some kind. But it is set in a box, and as a cat, you won't be able to open it up and like look through.
Yeah,
but it appears to be a captain's seal.
Can I like do the cat thing of knocking the box over to see if I can get it to open and then look at the seal?
You can roll me a cat sleight of hand.
Okay.
It'll be very cat-like because either like you'll knock it open and then like can peer around, or you'll basically just like bat it off the table like, fuck you, this is my desk. You fucking knock it off the table like, this is my desk. And like a few people kind of like, one of the two thugs that still remain, one of them's just like, oh, Cat's already making himself self-comfortable. It's a cat a boy or a girl? And there's a shrug and laugh from the other one, and he says, well, you should probably get some of the paperwork up before the cat pisses everywhere, and the captain might want some of this. And there's a chuckle between the two of them, and he mutters, like the captain can read. And then they start gathering up some of the paperwork as best they can.
I'm gonna like just scratch, not like a lot, but just like a little bit at for the disrespect.
He tries to swat you off the table, but I'm guessing he misses even a cat. What's the cat's AC?
Yeah, the cat's AC is 12. So.
Yeah. God, you have a better AC than some wizards I know. That's terrifying. You're just a household cat. Yeah.
I mean, I
he
also have
swipes
2
at
hit
you.
points.
Yeah, that's true. He swipes at you, not like to try and like actually do damage, but to try and like shoo you away. But you scratch a few angry red lines down his forearm, not enough to draw blood, and he sort of like tries to shoo you away, and you can dodge out of the way. And the guy's just like, his friend's just like, "Are you really fighting with a fucking cat? What kind of pirate are you? Go on, just take all this." And he hands him a swath of paperwork.
Can I jump down and look at the seal?
Yeah, I'm gonna say like you're gonna need to open it up, and it seems to have like a catch that's holding it shut and knocking it.
I was hoping that I knocked it open, but if I didn't knock it open, it's fine.
No, you basically like knocked into it to try and like knock it over, and it just falls onto the floor, but remains stubbornly shut. It is literally all you would need is fingers, but unfortunately, it's not like locked. It's literally got like one of those like swing catches that like hooks through.
Yeah. Well, I'm just a cat, so.
Tinker will just pick up the box and he'll just kind of like look at the cat, and then he'll open the box up.
Inside, you see a velvet, like a crushed velvet case inset where there is a small wax seal that looks ornately made, fine carved ebony handle, and set in probably like reinforced forged steel to make it hard to tamper and damage, but very clean, very well made, very shiny metal. And as you look at it, it bores the symbol of the Golden Tide Company, who are the largest trading group in the ocean at the moment. You can roll me a history to see what you know about them specifically.
Okay, yeah, because I'm a guild artisan, so he probably run into this trading company before. So let's see. What does a 10 get me?
A 10 would tell you this. You guys primarily been hitting docks, vessels, and everything that comes out of the Kingdom of Sidwell, which is the map that I showed you guys. However, to the south there is a kingdom called the Blood Rose Kingdom, which is a far more... it's a lot hotter. It's mostly desert and sort of almost like... think kind of a mixture of sort of like Arabian, sort of Egyptian style deserts, with occasionally like in the slightly more civilized places, it turns to a more Wild West kind of vibe. They have black powder and guns down there, which would probably explain why he's packing. What if Electra had a moment to see, would have seen was actually a dueling pistol and probably worth quite a bit, and is now absolutely destroyed. But like, it's in all fairness, now he can't use it to try and shoot anybody, so that's probably a good thing. But it is the Golden Tide Company have a lot of rivals in. They're not really liked in Sidwell. They don't do a lot of business with Sidwell. And they are consistently reliable in protecting their ships. So this ship being out here on its own seems unusual. They have like a private fleet of like frigates and stuff.
So in this box is just another box, right?
In this box is a wax seal. Meant
okay.
For,
okay,
like
a
steel stamp. So this is meant
That's
to...
why, okay, I got confused.
Official documents and stuff.
Tinker's going to just pick it up and hand it to the cat.
You could probably just about pick it up in your jaws if you wanted to.
I assume that I get the same kind of information.
You can feel free if you as you're now appraising it, you can roll me a history check as well and see if you know any other.
I will. I don't. I'm a witch. I live in the salt marshes.
It's a fancy symbol. You know, wax seals. You'd know enough to know wax seals are valuable because making forgeries is hard. So if you have the original, probably worth something to someone, like for faking documents and all that stuff. But who these people are, you don't really know.
All right. Well, yeah, if it's not interesting, she'll just kind of like bat it around.
It just goes round and round in circles because it's like a heavy end, and then so it just like spins around. And you like pour at it on the floor.
While she's doing that, though, she's gonna like look at this guy, this prisoner. How's he doing?
He's curled up underneath the desk, feeling pretty afraid. Hey yo! Thank you so much for the raid, Zach Clay. Welcome to Encounter Roleplay, where we're having some pirate shenanigans and adventures, and torturing a captain who has been. Well, he shot the wrong barbarian, so he's made poor life choices. So sorry, say that again, Flotsam.
Yes. I just wanted to see how he was doing. So if he's just like kind of looking scared and stuff, she'll just.
He's crying under his desk in the captain's quarters, in his finery. He has a ragged hole through his arm, which he has started to bandage up with a neckerchief as best he can. He's, you get the feeling he probably won't die from this, but that's going to be, unless it's tended to, is probably going to be an ongoing injury that is particularly uncomfortable. And like, you guys don't really have much in the way of healing stuff, so it's a very real point that if it gets infected, he could die from it, but he's not in the situation where he might just bleed to death here under the desk.
Okay. Yeah. She'll just like play around with the seal in the guise of like listening to what's going on.
Well, what's Electra doing is you've reclaimed your trident out this guy's arm and now have a room full of there's still one door that hasn't been opened, but other than that, this is looking like it's probably quite a lot of lootable stuff here. There's a whole desk to go through. Everyone took like all the paperwork and stuff like that. Paperwork sucks ass. Like, why people like, it's not gold, you can't spend paperwork.
She's gonna sort of try to be intimidating, but like grab some of kind of her ragged clothing and be wiping his blood off of the end of her trident, and she kind of looks at him and says, "What happened here? Why is your deck full of dead people?"
He pauses for a moment, and then he glances up towards you and immediately like sees that you're in the process of cleaning his blood off of one of the spikes of your trident, and his eyes just fall to the ground, and he sort of tremors slightly, but he swallows a few times to try and find some resolve, and finally says, I the ship, I don't know. The men, they got spread so fast. And then I saw sails on the horizon, flying a black flag. You should never have come to this place. We should have waited. And he clutches his arm and seems to sort of like a little bit in shock at this point, starts sort of stammering to himself.
She kind of leans down at his level and she says, I'm sorry you lost your people. What were you so scared of?
He glances to you and, what do you mean?
You said you shouldn't have come here. What was keeping you away?
No, we should have waited. We shouldn't be out here alone. But they paid extra, and I got everyone killed. And he like actually starts to like you see the look of realization as he realizes that he might be the only survivor on board, and like tears start trickling down his cheeks, and he, what are you going to do with me? What do you want?
I don't know if that's my decision to make.
You are not the captain?
No. Are you?
Tinker goes up.
He looks to you for a moment and says, a captain has a ship and a crew. I have neither anymore. I can't call myself captain no longer.
What was Tinker gonna do?
Tinker's gonna go up to him, and he says, I'm gonna help you. And he holds out his hand.
Electra
Kind of
will
like-
translate if
Yeah, he needs like a translation because he doesn't seem to
we
get.
can do the Chewbacca roll or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
and if
yeah,
someone's
yeah.
there,
Yeah, he looks to you and says to Electra, like not seeming to understand that Tinker can understand him, says, "What is this thing?" And he glances towards Tinker, like complete lack of understanding. Never seen a Warforged before in his life.
He's like, Tinker's like, my name is Tinker.
and Electra says, his name is Tinker, and for some reason he wants to help you.
He kind of pulls deeper into like the recess, but he's probably got about 3 foot of room under his desk, and like he can't really get any further away from you and can't get past Electra, so he seems to sigh and holds out a hand towards you shakily.
Tinker pulls him up, and he pulls out the cloak he was going to use on Monroe. He wraps it around the captain, and he beckons him to follow.
I'm gonna say, roll me an insight check, and Electra, as you're there, roll me an insight check. And as the cat's around, I'll also allow the cat.
And at this
16.
point, Kip kind of walks back into the main room and says,
All right, careful if you look through anything. It could be trapped.
and then Kip just kind of walks off toward like the other room, kind of walks through this whole situation.
Fine. Tinker's like, okay, fine.
What do we get? We've got a... Oh, damn, that's not bad, actually. Tinker and the cat. You will see this happen, but Tinker and the cat, you realize that he looks in a direction for slightly longer. Like his eyes linger on the other door for a moment with a worried look, the door that no one's been in yet, and then he starts like following you out of the room. If you lead him out.
Tinker stops, and he points to the door. And he's like, what's in the door?
Someone will translate, and he looks to you and says, it's the privy. It is toilet. Nothing.
Tinker like kind of squints his eyes, and he's like, who?
Roll me a persuasion check.
Kip's like walking over to that door.
I know.
19.
He will grab you, but he has very little strength. And you see, like, he winces as he does so because he grabs you with both hands, including his torn up arm, which is like he's probably fractured part of his hand in the scuffle, and he's got a puncture hole straight through his arm, which has been sort of bandaged but really needs attending to. And he grabs you and brings you real close, and he'll say it as quietly as he can to you, like whisper in your ear. My daughter. Please. She's very young. She doesn't. Just, please.
He waves him down. He says,
However, Kip, you were going over to the door.
Mm-hmm.
So as
Do
that
I
happens,
hear the daughter thing, or is that...
he's gonna make that as quiet as possible. I will. As you were next to him, I'll say that you see that you hear everything that's said, and you see that Tinker signs who, but you don't hear the response because he Tinker, you'll struggle to hear it. Like, he says that as quietly as he can. He like, daughter.
Tinker will look over Electra and look over at Kip, and he says, "Stop him." And then he signs daughter.
Electra pops up and runs over to block the door.
I am going to say, as this happens simultaneously, we're going to see how fast Quick can get the door open. So roll me a thieves tool, and we'll see if Kip opens the door before you guys get the warning, and he, like, if it passes down fast enough. I'm going to say, yeah, you can just about get to him in time. You will, however, like, Kip, you look at this door, it's nothing like the lock or anything like that. It's literally a privy door, so it's the toilet, it's the shitter. It's got a really basic lock on it.
Okay.
But yeah, Electra comes
gets
over and impedes your path.
What?
Kip just look.
I think there's more precious cargo in here. More personal. We should leave it be for now.
I'm just gonna go, get a little quick look. Yeah, maybe see what's in there.
Take daughter.
Is there like a doorknob?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hold on to it and I don't move.
As a cat, I have good smell. Can I smell a person behind the door?
You can roll me a perception check.
All right, I will. Oh no. Okay. This is gonna be +3, but I can't add because I'm a cat. What? Oh no, sorry, I did that wrong because I don't know how to use this game or this thing.
That's good.
There we go. So that's plus another 3, so that's a 25.
You can just smell someone. Mostly what you smell is a toilet that has been empty. Yeah. But you can just about smell someone else on the other side as you get your nose to the edge of the door. Actually, you roll quite well. I'm saying, you won't be able to hear anything on the other side because of all the commotion going around on deck. And by this point, the surgeon's just about climbed up onto the galleon and is being escorted over, along with a bunch of other people who are standing around outside in sort of almost lynch mob preparation, just in case they need to rush in here and assist you guys, or depending on what the verdict is. But there's no sign of the captain just yet.
Okay.
I look at everyone and I say, I help them escape. Well, escape.
Yeah, Electra says she has to get off. Yes. Where and are there any other exits in this room other than the one the crowd's building outside of?
You can roll me an investigation, but there's no obvious one.
Oh, that's so gonna be really bad. Yeah.
You look around. Perhaps there might be a way. You look over and the window, one of the windows looks like it opens up, but you don't see through the stained glass. Or you can go over and open it up. On the other side, there is, it's like it tapers in underneath. So there's not even like, you couldn't even like stand on something beneath. Like, it looks like the reason he's still in here is because he doesn't have another way out that isn't going out onto the deck.
I am going to tell Kip, let me just see first. And I'm gonna try to like go in the door, but like slip in and close it behind me. Like I want to try to just like, is it open or?
Kip, I'm gonna say like you can unlock it with ease.
Or can I just like turn the knob hard enough to where the lock just breaks?
You can try, yeah. Roll me in athletics.
If Electra goes to like do something to the door, Kip will try to like take his tools out so they won't get.
Oh
messed
yeah,
up.
like you get your tools out, you break the lock. I'm gonna need Kip and Electra, and I will roll for someone else to make me dexterity saving throws, please.
Oh, good.
Damn. Okay, Electra, you are going to take a small amount of this damage, and I do mean a small amount, don't worry. Kip, you're going to take half damage. Electra, you're going to take quarter damage. There's 18 piercing damage, halved for Kip to 9, and halved to 4. Half to 5 for Electra, as there is the loudest bang you've probably, not quite cannon level, but very loud, and the door kind of explodes into pieces. Like the side that's got the hinges on, still in mostly one piece, and smoke just roils out of the room, and you hear a shriek of fear from inside. And as the door swings open, there is what looks to be an 8-year-old girl in a rather pretty white nightgown dress, who has on the floor at her feet a smoking blunderbuss.
Sorry, should I have made the deck save as well?
No. It was one of the other thugs who was standing nearby you guys gets clipped slightly by some of the shrapnel.
Okay.
But you guys, it's literally, it fires in a cone in a straight direction and is just like scatter shot. Luckily, the second you broke the lock, she basically fired at the door. So the door wasn't even particularly open, but you get like peppered by like bits of broken wood and a few bits of shot make it through. But you all take some pretty uncomfortable damage, but like the gun is on the floor and she's quite clearly unarmed and is crouched on, he wasn't lying, it is the privy. She's crouched on the privy, like shaking in fear and clutching her head from the sound of firing a blunderbuss in a very confined space. Probably can't hear anything right about now. Electra, you were great at opening doors, might I just say, and like going into places. Cool.
Yeah, I try to lean down and I yell, kind of, probably because she can't hear. Are you okay?
You see, like, she's got like singe marks on like the sleeve of her dress from firing a black powder weapon. Her hands are shaking. And she's like curled up as tight as she can, covering her ears, sort of almost rocking back and forth on like the little bit of a side to this toilet. But she's just made herself, she kind of, in the same way of her father, has just found a very small space and has made herself as small as possible.
Is there like any land near us? Or are we just like 2 boats?
You're quite a few miles out at sea, but you're still relatively in the shallows. Like, you're not out in the open ocean. You could get back to land on your ship within a day. Sure, you can see the land from here. But you probably want to be in a proper boat. Rowing, if you're talking in a lifeboat, it's doable. It's dangerous, but it's doable.
Did we see any dinghies as we climbed up on here?
Now that you think about it, no. But you saw places where dinghies should be, as if they might have already been not jettisoned, but maybe used, or maybe cut loose. You're not sure. The fate of this ship is still very much up in the air. But yeah, now you think about it, your ship would probably have two longboats that you could lower into the water and row out.
Tinker is going to point at the captain and then point at his daughter and then just beckon them, and then he points at the bag of what he assumes is ammunition, shot for a pistol, and he's like, "Gimme."
Say that again. You're saying this to who?
The guy who's in front of me, who I'm trying to help escape.
Yeah.
I basically confer. Get your daughter. Give me your ammo.
He will give you. He has 5 shots left of and enough powder for 5 shots. It's in like a very gilded kind of like a soft crushed velvet maroon pouch with a little like gold lace around it, and he hands it over to you, and sort of like, unless anyone would have stopped him other than Electra, who's just sheer size he can't get around, because Electra works out. He would like rush over to see that his daughter is safe, because he quite clearly armed her with a last resort kind of thing, and then tried to hold the room himself, and just wants to make sure she's okay.
I'm giving our boat. He kind of like signs to the general room.
The longboat?
Yes.
You've got 2.
He's-
They escape.
He's injured.
You
How
also
will he
use
be
them
able? He's injured. How will he be able to defend them if they get into trouble?
At this point, like, one of the deckhands comes in, looks around to a few more sort of like raiders, essentially check the room isn't particularly dangerous, and then you hear some harsh words from outside, and possibly a little bit of a scuffle, and a rakish beanpole man with blonde hair that is kind of badly cut but has been attempted to be sort of like pomaded and styled back, a pair of cracked spectacles sat on his nose, and finery that has seen many better days, better years even, is tattered, but he still tries to keep up appearances, makes his way into the room, and he sort of does the kind of like the slappy hands at one of the guys who's sort of like trying to push him around, and adjusts his waistcoat and makes his way inside. This is the ship's surgeon. He's the surgeon of your ship. His real name is Merceleon Gravehorn, but everyone calls him Murky because you try teaching pirates how to say Merceleon. They just know you are Murky because Merceleon takes way too long and is too fancy sounding. And you would also know enough, having been on board for a little while. He is not a qualified surgeon. He's a chef. He just knows how to use a knife, and the previous surgeon died after pissing the captain off, so now he was promoted from cook to surgeon and hates it. And he comes in and looks around and like looks at the blood and manages to stifle a little bit of queasiness. And what is going on in this room? I hear shots and I hear guns and I hear explosions. What are you all doing in here?
He points to the captain and he signs fix.
He looks around sort of like to see if anyone in the room's going to object. The two thugs that remain in here don't look particularly thrilled about the idea about patching this guy up, but unless any of you show objection, he'll puts a small case down of like shit that's been stolen, so not really anything that's of any good, and he begins to like pull out like torn bed sheets for like bandages and stuff like that, and it's gonna like start to properly dress this wound. And you hear a quiet bit of conversation between the captain and him, but if you listen in, nothing incriminating. He just notes that you do not seem to be like the others aboard. And he's like, no, I am not. I am somewhat civilized, unlike some of these brutes. And he shoots a glance over, probably in Electra's general direction, as is a very high opinion of himself. And he will start to tend to this man as best he can.
After he starts to calm down, is the girl feeling better? Is she looking less terrified?
She hasn't moved out of catatonic, curled up in a ball, whimpering, and covering her head. Pirates just stormed into the bathroom that she was in.
Is there anything left of the door?
Half of it. Like, that. Basically, she kind of like just pulled the trigger, and probably like the kick probably sent it flying and didn't quite aim particularly well. But yeah, the door took most of that for you.
I will still like messily just like close what's left of the door, even though knowing it won't like seal the room. And I want to like just go near her and just sit on the floor, like crisscross, and just look at her.
Yeah, Flotsam will kind of go in and like nudge the girl's leg with her face and kind of start purring.
She flinches like very like erratically away from the cat for a moment, but like it's enough that she pulls her head out, and you see that she's got quite elegant features. Is very clean, despite the fact she smells atrocious from being in this room. This room smells atrocious. However, she looks quite well put together, and she's wearing a nightie that's probably should have been changed a few days ago. You know, there's the typical sweat stains, but it looks finely made, and she sort of clutches herself to herself and then looks very surprised to see a cat. And despite everything, kind of reaches out a hand a little shakily and just will reach out and take one of your ears and gently just stroke your ear. And then she looks up and, like, Electra, Tritons are not very common. Certainly, like, you have colonies out in sort of like the Isles of Stavros and a few other small islands that are kind of only known to your race. You're known quite a lot to sailors, but probably anytime you like in like a smaller port or somewhere, you know, where less worldly men are or travelers are, you've seen this look that she gives you before of somewhat fascination as to what you are. She looks up at you and she sort of looks between you and the cat, and unless the cat objects, she's going to hold on to the cat like it's her favorite kind of way, and you are sort of like up into her very tiny arms, and she looks to you and bites her bottom lip, quivering, sort of waiting for you to say something.
I am sorry. Are you okay?
She says, "Hey." And she sort of like tries to mime and brokenly kind of says, "Ringing."
And I hold out my hands. I say, "We can wait. It's okay. I'll wait." She
kind of reaches for your arm, and if you'll let her, will like
I offer it, yeah.
shakily puts her hand, and you realize that being quite tough like you are, like you have tiny little cuts all over you, but there is like a solid metal piece of shot stuck in, or like lead piece of shot that's kind of one of those ones that like wasn't a perfect ball and kind of had a slight almost teardrop sharpness to it, and this jaggedness is kind of sticking out your arm. And she reaches out, doesn't touch it, but just reaches towards it, and then pulls back and looks really afraid and sort of manages to just about mumble, "Sorry."
And I just kind of like pull it out.
She like almost froze up like instantly, just like, oh my god, like just the smell of like human excrement and like watching you just casually just pull bits of lead shot out of your arm, and she's sort of like,
And I say, it's okay. You didn't hurt me.
She holds the cat tighter.
Yeah. I'll start purring like really loudly and like nuzzling her and like, kind of like licking her face, trying to make her feel better.
And I look and I point at it and I say, it's good to be tough.
She kind of gives you almost a little bit of a wide-eyed like, wow, but just nods a little meekly and sort of looks to the cat and lets the cat sort of like just rubs her nose against the cat and starts playing with your ears, and very much the attention she gives you kind of denotes that she probably is familiar with cats. Like you don't smell other cats on her. Everything you smell on her is pretty atrocious right now, but like you don't smell on it. Like, but she seems to be very comfortable with you, and she starts like stroking your tail and seems to calm a little bit.
As the ringing and Kip's ears stop, Kip will say to Electra,
Yeah, well, some of us ain't so tough, so careful when you go, bursting open doors. I got hit too there. It hurts.
I meant she was tough, but I am too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, some of us, just, all right, whatever, keep going.
Tinker kind of looks at the group. He has like cold, stoic, robotic expression on his face, and he like looks at them, and he's like, "Hurry up."
What are we doing? The captain won't just let us give them a boat.
He's like, I know. And he goes over and he takes the other captain's hat and he places it on his head, and he casts disguise self and makes himself look like the captain. And he pulls out the pistol and he locks it. Well, he pulls back the hammer.
One of the pistol will need serious repairs done to it.
My pistol.
However, your pistol.
Pistol.
Okay. During the general looting, you'll see a couple of things unloaded from this room. There are a pair of fine blades, like almost like rapier dueling blades that are crossed, which are found mounted and fixed to the wall, and those really nice displays where they're sort of like the cross for like across the shield, and it looks very ornamental. And one of the thugs has just gone over, ripped one of the swords out, breaking the display into two, and is like gives it a few swings and is like, "This is my sword now." Slips it into his belt. You will, however, find there is a second one of the captain's pistol, which has been uncovered in a drawer, as these are a matching pair of dueling pistols, and that one hasn't been electrified yet.
Oh, then he'll grab that. He'll cock it. And he's like, I go speak to Captain. And he like starts walking down the hallway.
What is he planning to do?
Get himself killed, I suppose.
Yeah, probably. His choice, I guess.
And I'll stay with the girl until I assume Tinker takes care of something, but I'll just stay with her until I know anything else.
Yeah.
Tinker, can you roll me an athletics check, please?
I can. 14.
Okay. somehow, despite the fact that there are 6 of them, they are not going to manage to instantly restrain you. However, the 6 guys who were called up on deck because there were gunshots and stuff and are now waiting outside see a man they don't know in a fine dress, armed with a dueling pistol, try to stroll out of this place like he fucking owns it. And you don't look like one of the crew. So immediately, they're going to try and basically like grapple you to the ground and lay into you.
Yeah, and
you can resist if you want.
As soon as they grab hold of him, that's exactly what Tinker wanted. He drops the pistol and he gets on his knees, but he doesn't say anything. He doesn't even sign.
Okay, you are put down onto your knees, and like there's a moment where sort of they look inside, and one of the guys will walk in and he'll look around and probably look to Kip as Electra is a little busy and say, what exactly happened? Like, who the fuck is?
Yeah, I think that's the captain, or was the captain of this ship. Yeah.
What are we doing with him? I mean, we throwing him overboard? What do we like? He's got some nice gear. I want some of that.
I don't know. Yeah, I do too. Actually, checking some of the rooms. There's a lot of nice stuff in here. I don't quite care what happens to him myself, but
he. Well, on a 3, doesn't notice that the exact same man he just walked past is being treated in the corner of the room by the ship's surgeon as Tinker has taken it upon himself to do this without much explanation to the rest of the group. But he's so distracted by this that he doesn't notice the fact that there's another copy in the other side of the room. And luckily, the captain has his back to him at this moment, and he says, "All right, but dibs," and he walks back out and is going to go over. What kind of illusion do you have?
It's just a disguise self. Is Anvil anywhere in the vicinity?
Anvil is probably in the process of, he would have come on board. He was on the ship, like helping unload some stuff, and now he's sort of waiting outside a little impatiently, set back from the other guys, as he's. You two are a bit odd, so not necessarily like have a lot of friends in the fighting groups, but you see him sort of like almost trying to like look past them to see if you emerge and see if you're okay.
If they put me in manacles, like in the front, he's going to make the sign for chicken. And then he's going to sign find fish person. And then he's just going to make it look like he's just kind of flailing his arms about to kind of put off from other people.
You can roll me a sleight of hand to see if you can get this to him without being seen by the men manhandling. Yeah, you managed to do this, and he looks to you, and the guys look, and they look over towards Anvil, who it looks like you're kind of like gesturing towards. I mean, one of them sort of like chuckles and is like, "I think he likes you, Anvil. Maybe we'll let you two go on a date before we send him down to the depths, you know?" And they lift you, hoist you back onto your feet, and one of them will try and take your cloak off, your coat off, and his hands will go through the illusion and feel something underneath, and they seem to hesitate for a moment. And at that point, you will be properly manacled as they realize that something's not right here. But you don't have a lot of magic users on board, so they're not sure what this is. But just like, whatever he is, he's hiding something. So they clamp you in manacles, and that will lead you over to a pretty extreme gangplank that's like well over a 45-degree angle leading down to your smaller vessel. And they will take you away to bring you before the captain. Anvil watches you go and then hurries inside and comes in after a bit of trial and error, finds Electra and a squat the squat fella comes over, and he hasn't overtly hidden the fact that he's like you, but he hasn't dropped his disguised self in front of anyone at this point. So you see, how does Anvil look again? Like in his?
He's a big,
form?
burly. Think of Sarge from Full Metal Alchemist, teacher's husband, kind of deal. Big,
Okay.
bushy beard, but his right arm is mechanical, made of like pipes and barrels and stuff. And at the end, it's not a hand; it's a clamp.
He comes rushing into the room, looks around, finds you, Electra, and with like the clamp arm, like not too roughly, but will like bang on your shoulder and just be like, Tinker said to come find you. Said, I don't know why. He said come find you. I think you're muted.
I am. I say, where did he go?
He kind of looks around and then leans in and says, oh, he doesn't look like Tinker. Right now, looks like, and he describes the captain, but like, fancy hat with like a feather and like big coat and stuff. And
I point at
yeah, exactly like that, he says, not seeming surprised at all. Tinker looks exactly like that man over there.
Is he okay? Like, would I've heard commotion of them like arresting him or?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of, maybe a little bit, yeah.
I don't know why I said that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, like this is now sort of like the main commotion on deck is them sort of like Tinker, you straight up would have been punched a couple of times. It probably wouldn't have hurt, but you'd have felt like it's not enough to do damage, and a few of them sort of like the hands sort of.
He would take it and he would crumple and he would like act over dramatic and he'd like be begging, it's like shaking his head, pleading them to stop.
But silently, I presume.
Yes, silently.
Yeah.
Electra says to Anvil, we want to help this man and his daughter escape. I assume Tinker's trying to distract.
I have to do something. Good luck. And then he rushes out of the room, not really sure what you want, but you said chicken. You gave him an instruction, a thing to do when chicken. So he came, found Fish Lady, and now is rushing off to try and find Monroe without telling anyone.
So, if I look at the captain, does he look like, what's the doctor's, where are they?
He's
him?
bound his arm and put like a shitty sling over it, mostly because like he doesn't have any real training and also doesn't actually have any medical supplies. It's just like torn bed sheets and like anything that couldn't be sold is kind of like he can take his pick from. And he has explained, like your trident went straight through his arm, so like he's bound both sides. He's cleaned them with what liquor he is allowed that isn't drunk, as best he can, and has bound him up. But they've been having a little bit of quiet discourse, and the captain seems a little calmer now that he's had a conversation with someone who seems like as civilized as he is. They both seem like upper class gentlemen, even though Murky is on board a pirate ship. But hey, you take what you can get.
I walk over to him and I say, if we can get you in a longboat, can you get away? I can help push you off quickly, but I can't take you far.
I only ask for a shot, for my daughter's sake. I don't want... He sort of like glances down the corridor slightly as, there's been commotion. You can hear like cheers and jeers and people and...
She holds the hand out that's the opposite of the one he has injured so he can grab with a good hand. And she says, "If it's for your daughter, you need not plead to me. I will help you. We have to go quickly, though."
He nods and he'll follow your lead as best he can. Murky hears all of this, but remains steadfastly, stoically silent about this.
And I don't really know where his allegiances lie, do I?
You know enough about Murky that he does his best to avoid. He will. About all he's got the stones to really do is make snide comments in language that people don't understand. And by language, I don't mean he speaks languages that people don't understand. He's quite well spoken, so he'll almost Shakespeareanly insult people by biting his thumb at thee and things like that. But nothing that he doesn't feel like he's 100% capable of getting away from, because he is not a pirate. He is a civilized man who knows nothing about combat. He's well read, and that's it. So he's terrified of pretty much everyone, including you.
So
you
I
could
can
throw
assume
the entire room.
I assume he wouldn't go immediately tell the captain, right?
He doesn't like anyone, including the captain.
Okay.
He probably hates the captain the most out of everyone. He's just tolerated because he's good with a knife and doesn't have a choice.
Cool. Then I won't worry too much about threatening him or anything. I will just
you look at him and he just sort of I don't want to catch a beating.
Then I will try to take this man and his daughter to a longboat. And I guess I'm sure there'll be roles and things attached to it, but my overall goal is to go down with them, and I can swim. I'm very good, and I'm amphibious. I want to try to kind of help push their boat out a little quicker than it would normally be rowing until they can maybe get a safe distance and then return to the boat. So that's sort of my goal.
So as a counter to that, here's what you face. Your ship, the Red Lady, which is much smaller and currently attached to this ship by mooring lines, has 2 longboats. You know the captain will not willingly give them up because you use them to raid, so they're very important. The fact that you don't have any to add to your inventory from this ship has been something that you would have heard people bitching about. The other thing you need to do is get them off of this ship, onto your ship, and then into a boat and lower them past pretty much the entire crew. The captain has been notably absent ever since he jumped on board, was very angry that everyone was dead, and has returned to the Red Lady, and hasn't been involved in pretty much anything. He's in his quarters, to the best of your knowledge. So however you want to get them to the boat or get the boat to them is up to you.
So with the daughter's permission, I will probably carry her so that I can move quickly. And Electra, at this point, knowing what Monroe's told her, does not care about what the captain thinks about losing a boat. She'd rather help a little girl. And so my goal is that she's going to try to carry the girl, get them over. Hope that Tinker's distraction is holding people's attention enough. But if it is not, and the crowd begins to look in her direction, she will cast fog cloud on them to just envelop them in fog so they can't see her, and then she will bolt them to the boat.
Flotsam is gonna go with Electra.
Bring the cat always.
As you guys come out, I'm gonna say, as you make your way through the crowd, give me just I tell you what, as I imagine, because I've always found that it's a little unfair that, intimidation is usually charisma based, yet, you're a badass barbarian. I'll allow you to use more athletics, as in sheer physical presence, to try and intimidate people to not question your initial movements through the ship. Yeah, you make your way through. However, as an added bonus, as a way, now the ship is finally you see cargo crates have been brought up onto the deck, and some of it's been moved over, but most of it's still on this ship. It's actually Flotsam. You see something that is set down. You see what looks to be a glowing lantern that is set down aside like a small pile of crates, and the light seems to flicker erratically inside. And you see a guy goes over, and the guy puts it down, says to the guy, it's sort of writing notes and taking inventory of what they got. This guy puts it down. And he says, there's some furs in there, and well, some salted meat and a few other bits and pieces. Nothing too much. Oh, I found this, and he kicks the lantern over, and it flops over, but stays burning and bright and lit from within. It's stained glass and very ornate, so you can't see what's within, if it's a candle or something like that. And he says, I can't figure out how to open the bloody thing, but it won't go out no matter what I do. And it's not hot, it's just bright and annoying. Makes like a noise. And the guy just... So, it's a magic lantern. Yeah! It's got to be worth something, right? And he says, sure, just go help unloading. And as this happens, it starts to roll all on its own as they take their eyes off it for a moment towards you, Flotsam.
I will go. Oh, can I make an Arcana check?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the lantern. Oh no, that was bad. That's a 9.
On a 9, appears to be a magic lantern of some kind. Your guess is about as good as the person who you don't have it, you haven't had a chance to properly examine it or anything like that. But yeah, when it rolls towards.
Does it look like? Yeah, I think what I will do is does it look like she has a clear shot of distract, or does she need a distraction, or?
Perhaps.
Okay.
Maybe not to but it's probably going to be harder when she gets onto the Red Lady, onto your actual ship, and then have to put a child in a boat and then unload and then all of that jazz.
Okay. Then I will leave the lantern for now because I'm not quite sure what I can do with it, but I have a plan. So I will continue to follow the train.
As you follow Electra and she gets to the edge of the ship, Electra, are you bringing the captain with you?
I assumed he was following me. I didn't think I had to carry him.
He comes out. He's taken his hat off and he's rolled the collar of his jacket, but he's starting to get at some very conspicuous looks. As a man who looks frighteningly like him just left those quarters, and people sort of looking over towards you, and a few people you see sort of leaning in and glaring at him, and he looks very afraid. But weighing it up with tussling with Electra, who's currently still got blood trickling down her arm and has a trident in one hand. You know what? They could probably find some trouble to get themselves into, or be looting, as opposed to unnecessarily getting an ass whooping from a very ripped Triton. So you can start to make your way off.
I'll go back and I'll put up my hand on his back and kind of, if anyone makes eye contact with me, I just say they're with me, and I start to move him and hold her as we walk.
Okay, you get them off down the ship. However, Flotsam, you are followed by the lantern. It turns and keeps rolling after you. It's not circular. It's more octagonal. So it makes kind of a clicking noise, but it's got a rounded bottom to it. So it keeps having to try and adjust to follow you because it kind of rolls unevenly. But it is definitely following you.
Remember now. Okay.
Oh no.
I will
And then
just
it
kind of.
explodes. And no.
Yeah, then I die.
Everyone.
Yeah, I will just ignore it for now.
Okay. It will roll all the way to the edge of the ship, but it cannot get up onto the gangplank, so it just stops there. And you guys make your way down, and as you guys make your way across the deck, you see a few people looking in your direction, Electra, but no presence of the captain. You see Dakar, the quartermaster, the dwarf that is particularly aggressive towards you guys, is in the process of divvying up loot and putting together like a package to deliver to the captain of like the finest wares. It glances over towards you, but seems to be more focused on this for now. You get them both into the long ship, but before we do that, I do want to ask, what is Kip doing?
All right, Kip would have wanted to grab a couple of papers, like official-looking papers from the desk of the captain, and then kind of follow along where Electra was going, not as if he was like with her, but just going in that same direction, just to kind of see how this is going to transpire.
Okay. You see that Electra gets them both into the boat, and you're going to go down into the water with them?
Yes.
No. Oh, sorry to...
No, I out of the two of you, like Electra's going down, you're staying on board. Is the cat going with you?
I'm not gonna go in the boat, but I am gonna stay and watch.
Okay. The second Electra starts lowering the boat, people stop what they're doing and start coming over. And Flotsam and Kip, you'll both see that this has gone from like, I don't particularly want to deal with Electra to we're united in the fact that Electra should not be doing this. And they start making their way over, and you see a few of them gently, like, hands resting on handles of pistols or hilts of swords and stuff like that. But you don't see this, Electra, as you've dropped below the edge of the ship as you are lowering into the water. So everyone, you watch as a group moves in that direction.
I am going to... Oh, sorry. What? You go ahead.
Tinker's on the gangplank. Who's around him?
You by this point would have been brought before. Like you would be standing close to where the captain's quarters are. So you're at the back of the ship. You are standing next to Dakar, who is basically. You would have heard him. Like he's got like a couple of charts and a map that's been taken from the captain's quarters, a few bits of finery, some food and stuff. Has gathered it together, and together that's the bundle that's going to be presented as the haul for the captain, like his spoils.
Am I bound?
Yes, you are manacled in proper manacles, like. But can
I move?
Technically, yes, but you are.
Could I just get up and just do a sprint?
You can make me.
My idea.
Make me
So the idea is, Tinker. Will he be able to see onto their boat and see all these people start crowding around where Electra's going?
Yes, you will. You lose sight of her. She starts lowering down, and you watch as every member of on deck, every member of the crew on deck, which is about 20 or so people, start moving in that way. Maybe they're curious. Maybe they're hostile. You don't know. Like
He's gonna get up and dance, kind of start doing like the Pinocchio dance, where he's just kind of like bouncing up and down, and then all of a sudden his body turns, but his head stays perfectly normal, and then he jumps up onto.
Oh my god!
Yeah. That's so what he's going to do is create like a spectacle to get everyone around him again. So I could do a performance.
Kip will when Kip sees this happening, he'll kind of look over to where Tinker is and kind of point and kind of yell.
It's like, "Ha, look at that! What an idiot! Can't even dance."
Try to like help everyone, like get their
Okay.
attention off of Electra.
So a 19.
In an instant, the door opens to the captain's quarters, and Captain Kyber Halfjaw is standing there, 8 foot tall, barely fitting in the doorway. Doesn't have his axe on him, but you've seen him take people apart with his bare hands. He opens the door. Confusion moves around the deck as people turn and look towards Tinker, who is dancing in a way that is anatomically incorrect, and he cannot do. But your head does the swivel and everything like that. Kip jeers a few people on. Everyone but the people who are closest to the edge of the ship turn in that direction. But a few people turn, and one of them will reach out for the rope that is lowering the boat. And you see him go for that, Electra, above. One of them leans over, and another one will lean over with a pistol, but not aimed at you, just making it clear that he is armed. And then
I will. Oh, can I do a thing?
you will also hear something else. There is a small crash from the galleon, and you hear a commotion, which sounds like a fight breaks out, and then a lance of energy hurls off of the deck and cuts through one of the sails on your ship. You can't see where it comes from because of the height of that ship, and it doesn't do much damage, but energy just launches out, and you hear someone shout, "Traitor," and everyone reaches for weapons. And that is where we're going to leave the episode for this week, because we've got to wrap it up to make time for next session for change over to the next campaign of shenanigans and the things happening. God, so many things happen simultaneously. It's good. It's all great. Nothing bad happened. I didn't roll sneaky checks in the background there, and terrible things didn't befall people. It's all good. No one needs to worry. This is going to be an interesting next episode. So many things in the mix. So many plates spinning at the same time. Where will it end? Probably in disaster. Hey, it's okay. You're out in the middle of the ocean. Nothing bad could happen. So, guys, thank you everyone for coming along, for saying hi, for hanging out in chat. Thank you to all my wonderful players for coming along. We're going to go around and find out where we can find everybody. And then stay tuned here if you're enjoying Pirate Ship Shenanigans, because a little bit of a different twist, not necessarily pirates, but more shenanigans at sea as we go straight into another campaign of Ghost of Saltmarsh. But in the meantime, let's go around and find out who we are, where we can find everyone. Let's start with Electra. Electra being lowered slowly into the water with 2 civilians and possibly a lot of danger. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. You know, I love this. I love it. I'm feeling good. And you can find me on Twitter at Mackenzie Wilkes, or this upcoming Wednesday, season 2 premiere of Rise of the Demigods, the other show I'm doing right now. 7 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Godsfall. And that's where I'm at.
Fantastic. Van Dabby Doozles. Shoot a link over to her and say hi. She loves getting shot. Speaking of people about to get shot, Zippy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad I'm able to save people.
Indeed. Nothing
Zippy's
bad could come of this.
I'm a variety streamer here on Twitch. I stream a lot of things. Mainly right now, I'm doing Magic the Gathering Arena and possibly some World of Warcraft later on.
Fantastic. Speaking of magical things, there's nothing more magical than a cat, than a tiefling, than something, than a gravitational pull of lanterns. Whatever she is, she's anything but ordinary. Nice girl, how you doing? Where can we find you?
I'm Lauren. I am JL_nice_girl on Twitter. I am Starving Soubrette on Twitch. I play lots of role-playing games with my friends on the internet. You can find all of the other games that I'm on my pinned tweet. And you can also check out my channel, twitch.tv/StarvingSoubrette, where I do solo tabletop RPGs and also a one-to-one romantic fantasy anthology series. I do the Too Many RPGs podcast. I do all sorts of things. You should check them all out. They're very cool.
Fantastic. And finally, but certainly not last, speaking of cool things, the coolest rogue, the most slick of rogues to manage. I love how you like completely kerfuffled it in front of people, but in that moment where you were alone, 2 nat 20s, and it was like, why are there not people around to witness this? Oh, how you doing, Brian?
Oh, well, that's just how it be. Hi. My name is Crowan. I stream on Twitch as well, mostly Heroes of the Storm, but also soon to be Classic World of Warcraft. Hopefully, very soon. Yeah. Yeah, just Twitter and Twitch at Crowan. And might I add, I also really love the image of Electra just being this like big, massive, powerful presence, and then just like talking to this little girl trying to console her. It's just
who shot her with a blunderbuss and was still
who
just
did
like,
shoot her.
oh,
Yeah, it just didn't
Electra-
care at all.
It doesn't do shit to me. I'm bulletproof.
She cares about women and girls a lot. She came from a very matriarchal society. So
That's
she's like,
admirable,
oh,
and
a
I
little
love that.
girl? Oh no. Yeah, women and children. It's like the people. Like she will kill any man, any adult, but like women and children, she's like, oh god, no.
Well, speaking of oh god no, it's almost time for our brand new it's not brand new, it's the second episode, but it's another season of Ghosts of Saltmarsh. So stay tuned here, guys. Don't go anywhere. Hit that follow, subscribe button, all that jazz. Get involved, have fun, have a blast. And in the meantime, try not to roll too many nat ones because we want to be laughing when you do. Good night from us, everybody.